Hi, and thanks for joining me for another board meeting recap. I'm Superintendent Anderson, and we're going to talk about the Tuesday, April 21st board meeting that we held up in Jackpot. We started out the meeting with welcoming our student board member, who's named Nicholas Weber. Nicholas joined us for the meeting, and he is a junior at Jackpot Combined School. He's been a student there since third grade, so he's been there most of his school career. He's highly involved in student leadership, currently serving as their 11th grade vice president, and over the past few years, he's been an active member of all their leadership and Hope Squad, and he's been elected as their student body president for the upcoming school year. He brought a wealth of knowledge and confidence and advocacy for his peers, both at Jackpot and throughout the whole district, and he was a great addition to our board on the 21st. In addition to acknowledging Nick, we also acknowledged some STARS recipients from Jackpot. We'd kind of been collecting some STARS recipients throughout the year, and we were able to acknowledge a few different custodians from Jackpot. The first one was Roberto Cervantes, who we acknowledged much earlier in the year, and then we also got to say thanks to Jesus and Maria Salas, who have done a great job there for a long time, retiring at the end of this year, and we'll miss them, but Jackpot is, no surprise that their custodians are beloved there. They have such a tidy, clean, and well-kept campus, and they do such a great job there of making sure that place shines and is in great condition for their students and staff. And so congratulations to those STAR recipients as well. We also acknowledge one of their teachers, Mr. Zach Hunter, for receiving the Nevada Cattlemen's Association 2025 Teacher of the Year Award. He received that clear back in November, and we were glad to be able to acknowledge him for that in person up at his school. We had one presentation from the Jackpot Combined School Art Department, and they told us about their ventures into fire pit pottery with their art teacher, and just a great presentation about the different techniques they were doing, different from kiln pottery, digging a hole in the ground, and this was a method that the teacher learned during some education down in Mexico, and a really intriguing and interesting process. And very interestingly, our student board member Nick Weber also shared with us some math charts that they used in kind of in a cross-curricular fashion, where they took what they were doing in art, applied it to their math classes, and were using linear regressions and other math terms that were beyond what my capacities are, and to talk about the way they were charting the temperatures and over time. And it was really just a great collaboration between content areas, and it was very apparent that all the kids involved were heavily engaged and really appreciated the learning opportunity. So congratulations to the students and the staff at Jackpot for having such a great project that put real application to the learning that they have both in art class as well as math class. Moving on to the items that were covered under discussion and action. There was a budget transfer report. The next item was policy JCBC, which deals with investigations and searches with law enforcement, especially outside law enforcement officers. That had been undergone a first read at a previous meeting and had kind of skipped some meetings to get to this point, but finally got to a good point with that, and that policy was approved at the meeting. We covered a couple other policies, both IDFB, which is curriculum design, interscholastic athletics, and general eligibility for students to participate in athletics. And that has to do with some of the budget adjustments we're making, the potential for a pay-to-participate structure for students participating in athletics across the district. Really great input from both board members and our student board member on that one. And then we also covered IHFA, academic achievement credit recovery, another conversation around kind of the requirements around credit recovery courses for students who do not pass a class the first time they take it. So both of those policies were for first read, both related to budget conversations that have been ongoing since earlier in the year, and expect to see those at subsequent meetings, and for any edits and feedback that were given on both of those. We received a couple of presentations from district staff. The first one was from Candace Turnahue, our Director of Elementary Education, on the Lexia learning platform that is used at almost all of our elementary schools throughout the district, as well as so there's the Core 5 program, and then there's the Power Up program. So Lexia Learning is a platform we use to supplement some of our, it's Tier 1 intervention, as well as some Tier 2 and beyond. And so Candace was able to present a lot of data on both usage rates, student success rates, when usage is you know, where it ought to be based on recommendations from the platform. And all signs point to generally very positive results for teachers and students who implement that program with fidelity. And so we look forward to seeing the final results from MAP tests and SBAC from this year to kind of put some final numbers to the usage rates, and just really grateful for everyone that's making the most out of that investment that our district put into to improving literacy in our schools. And congratulations to all those who are experiencing great success with that program. The next update we got was from RJ Santos, who is our new IT director, and he gave a brief overview of the Chromebook plan for next year, which has been detailed previously, as well as an update to E-rate projects to make sure we have all the most modern and necessary fiber technologies and software and switches and things like that are needed within our schools to make sure we have adequate access to internet in all of our schools all throughout our district. The next presentation came from me, and that was an update on progress towards our ECSD strategic plan. Within our strategic plan that we put together about 3 years ago, there were 41 different tasks or actions that we committed to doing over throughout basically this point to the end of the 25-26 school year. So I was able to report on those, and the vast majority of those actions were either completed or in progress, or going well and just ongoing, and with a few that we still have some work to do and want to make sure to continue to focus on. But overall, it was very positive and just a good thing to look at to see where we were 3 years ago and how many things have been both put into place and are benefiting our students and our staff and our families throughout the school community. The item after that one was superintendent's evaluation. So that was my evaluation. The board had a discussion about the timeliness of that evaluation and kind of the plan moving forward for my evaluation. And it was a rather brief item actually, and that's kind of all there is to say about that. But there is more to come on that topic throughout the summer and going into next school year. And then the last item was the consideration of a possible approval of a letter to our legislators and legislative candidates addressing the pupil-centered funding plan and adopting commission recommendations as we head into a legislative session next year. We wanted to make sure to have something drafted from our trustees and from our district highlighting the kind of pain points of the pupil-centered funding plan and urging both our current legislators as well as legislative candidates to recognize the severity of the problems that exist with our current funding plan and to just make sure our voice is heard on that matter. And that is all of the items that we discussed. Thank you again for listening, paying attention. If you want to learn more about any of these items, there are links in the newsletter below, and look forward to sharing an update with you after the next one.